Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Cali 2-Way. My name is Matt. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you don't miss any content that I post. So today I want to talk about this House committee hearing that they had on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This happened a couple days ago, and I typically don't sit and listen to these. They're long, drawn out, bunch of lying and smearing going across the aisle. But this one I actually tuned into, because this one was about the censorship of Robert Kennedy Jr. A lot of us are starting to notice and realize that a lot of things that go against the liberal Democrat perspective and their narrative get silenced on all social media platforms. As like this one, this video will be censored. I've noticed a lot of weird things going on with my channel. And with that being said, again, please like, comment, subscribe. Try to interact with these videos if you enjoy them. If you don't enjoy them, obviously don't interact with them. But I appreciate it. It's the only way to get these videos out there for more people to see. What I mean when I say that is I've tried this with about 5 or 6 videos of mine now, where I'll post it and it won't be recommended to anybody. I send an email to YouTube and tell them to quit censoring my channel because it's against my First Amendment constitutional rights and that it's against their terms and conditions in their policy. And within 1 hour of each of those videos, of each of those emails, my views will skyrocket, and then it will throttle and plateau and will not get seen anymore. I thought it was just a coincidence, so I've done it with about 5 or 6 videos now. With that happening, the only way to combat that is if people interact with the videos. That is just plain and simple. So I wanted to show this video because some really interesting things happened during this House committee conference. I don't know if this is typical. Like I said, I'm no political expert by any means, so take what I say with a grain of salt when I start talking politics. But seeing how this stuff unfolds was really interesting. So let's just watch the introduction of Robert Kennedy Jr.
Most recently, Mr. Kennedy announced his campaign for President of the United States. During his campaign announcement, he stated, quote, "My mission over the next 18 months of this campaign and throughout my presidency will be to end the corrupt merger of state and corporate power that is threatening to impose a new kind of corporate feudalism in our country," end quote. It is for this that Mr. Kennedy finds himself receiving the scorn of both the political left and right. Because if one dares challenge the orthodoxy of the powers that be, then one is their enemy. As a graduate of the University of Virginia, Mr. Kennedy no doubt knows the following quote, for here we are not afraid to follow truth wherever it may lead. Thomas Jefferson. That truism was lost during the COVID pandemic. Individuals receiving scorn simply for asking questions. People being silenced for challenging the status quo. These are the kinds of questions that should have been publicly debated, and this hearing is focused on that truth, and we welcome Mr. Kennedy.
I think the gentleman, Mr. Kennedy, we're...
So you hear right there, the lady was trying to cut him off. He's sitting there explaining what Robert Kennedy's intentions are. I'm not standing behind Robert Kennedy on the presidential run, but I do stand behind a lot of the things that he's shining light on. A lot of people believe that he knows he's not going to win the presidential election. He's only running to be able to get his voice heard, because now under federal law, and this is where I'm no political expert, I may be just talking out of my ass right now. From my understanding is you cannot, under federal law, censor a presidential candidate. You're not allowed to. And now he's able to shine light on a lot of these topics that they've been censoring him on. As this lady, I don't even know who it was that started talking, but she's clearly trying to cut this guy off from talking about the good things that Kennedy's trying to do. So this next clip is Robert Kennedy basically doing his introduction. Listen to how this starts off. This is ridiculous. This argument that takes place is crazy. It's regarding the amount of time that he gets to talk. The chairman basically says, you get 5 minutes. If you need a little bit more, cool. My assumption is that he said if Robert Kennedy needs a little bit more, it's because of Robert Kennedy's speech problem, which I don't even know what the story is behind that. If you know, drop a comment. Let me know what happened, why his voice is the way that it is. I have no knowledge of that. But I'm assuming that's why he was being a little lenient towards giving him a little over 5 minutes, which I know is common. They give everybody a little bit of extra time if they need it. But listen to this argument that takes place regarding him getting a little extra time.
He's going to go a little longer.
Excuse me, point of order. I know that witnesses usually have 5 minutes. I see 10 minutes on the board. Is it going to be 10 minutes
We'll
for
give him
every
5
witness?
minutes, but we're pretty lax with this. We'll let him go for
We are?
a little. Yeah.
I've seen you gavel down on quite a number of
We've
witnesses.
given senators and former Democrat members of Congress and all kinds
He's
of folks my
neither.
time.
He's
Yeah.
neither.
I'm just saying in past history.
Okay,
in the
okay.
committee. But
Let's just watch
you.
the time for all the witnesses.
And if
then.
you want to cut him off and censor him some more, you're welcome to do it.
Oh, that's not my job. That's your job. Why don't you threaten a witness so that they can not want to be a witness?
Mr. Kennedy is recognized for his opening statement. We'll give him 5 minutes, more or less, and then we'll move to the next one. Mr. Kennedy, go right ahead.
This is a shame. This is what's going on within our government. He's saying, if you want to continue censoring him, go right ahead. And then she turns around and responds to the chairman and says, why don't you threaten him so he doesn't want to be a witness? Like, this is so frustrating. Like I said, I don't follow politics under a magnifying glass. I don't know if this is typical, if this is normal. If it is typical and it's normal, we should all be worried. We should all be concerned whether you're Republican or Democrat. If this is abnormal, we should all be worried whether you're Republican or Democrat. So he goes in through his testimony and basically just telling his story of how he got to the position that he's in now. Partway into his speech, he gets into the censorship part of things. So check this out. I want you to hear this.
About anything that was a verboten subject. I just was talking about my campaign and things, the conversation that we ought to be having with each other as Americans. But I was shut down, and that is why the First Amendment's important. Debate, congenial, respectful debate is the fertilizer, it's the water, it's the sunlight for our democracy. We need to be talking to each other. Now, this is a letter that many of you signed, many of my fellow Democrats. I've spent my life in this party. I've devoted my life to the values of this party. There's 102 people signed this. This itself is evidence of the problem that this hearing was convened to address. This is an attempt to censor a censorship hearing.
The papers he has was a motion to censor a censorship hearing. They're trying to censor him while he's trying to testify about censorship. This is crazy. They actually approved the motion. They go in to vote on this. Watch how this happens.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Gentleman from Louisiana.
Is it the custom of this committee to censor viewpoints that we disagree with from witnesses?
Mr. Chairman, I have
That's not a point of order.
I have a motion on the table.
There's a motion and a vote's been
Move into
called.
executive
House
session
rules.
because
We're
Mr.
waiting for
Kennedy
the clerks.
is violative of
Waiting
Rule
for the
11,
clerks.
Clause 2.
Waiting for the clerks. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Jordan.
Yes.
Mr. Jordan votes yes. Mr. Issa. Mr. Massey.
Yes, to not censor.
Mr. Massey votes yes. Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart votes yes. Ms. Stefanik.
Yes.
Ms. Stefanik votes yes. Mr. Gates. Mr. Johnson of Louisiana.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson of Louisiana votes yes. Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong votes yes. Mr. Stubbe. Mr. Bishop.
Yes.
Mr. Bishop votes yes. Ms. Kamak.
Yes.
Ms. Kamak votes yes. Ms. Hageman. Yes. Ms. Hageman votes yes. Ms. Pasquette.
No, I want to follow the rules that the Republicans made at the beginning of this conference with these House rules, so no.
Ms. Pasquette votes no. Mr. Lynch.
No.
Mr. Lynch votes no. Ms. Sanchez.
No, because it's violative of the rules.
Ms. Sanchez votes no. Ms. Wasserman Schultz.
No to allowing a witness to degrade and
This is not
defame
speech
others
time.
and violate the rules and not have his testimony and degradation amplified
Mr. Chair.
rather than given in executive session.
Ms. Wasserman Schultz votes no. Mr. Connolly.
No to the Soviet Politburo.
Mr. Connolly votes no. Mr. Garamendi.
No.
Mr. Garamendi votes no. Mr. Allred. Ms. Garcia.
No.
Ms. Garcia votes no. Mr. Goldman.
No to hate speech.
Mr. Goldman votes no.
Jeez.
This is unbelievable. Luckily, we won to where they couldn't silence him or censor him during a censorship hearing. It was like 10-6 or something like that. But this dude, that last guy, no to hate speech. I get where this is coming from. It's coming from the anti-Semitic statements that they're claiming he made, which wasn't. It was, again, him trying to highlight something that needs to be talked about. Him highlighting a problem that needs to be talked about. Something that could be an issue. There's absolutely no reason. That goes along with COVID and everything else. From actual COVID to the COVID vaccines. All these things were being censored by people who just wanted answers. So that's all I wanted to show you guys. There was a lot more in this video that was disturbing as far as them trying to censor him. They get into all the Hunter Biden laptop stuff, where Democrats were backed into a corner where they didn't have a choice but to admit that social media platforms censored all of the stories behind the Hunter Biden laptop stuff that was going on during the 2020 presidential election. And that the federal government basically strong-armed social media sites into censoring people who questioned the facts regarding the Hunter Biden laptop stuff. And some of these Democrats actually had to come out in this hearing and admit that that steered people into voting for Joe Biden. This is a complete clown circus. My question and my concern is, now that this is out in the open, they know that the FBI and the federal government forced social media platforms into favoring Joe Biden. They all admitted that people probably wouldn't have voted for him if they knew the story behind the Hunter Biden laptop situation. They probably wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden. Now that that's all been uncovered, everybody knows that truth. It's not a conspiracy thing anymore. Nothing's gonna happen. There's too many people in power. The government is too powerful. This is where my knowledge of politics hits the fork in the road, where I don't know what the solution is to these things. I'm not educated enough in politics to understand. That's why I'm here just trying to shine a shiny light on these things that a lot of people, a lot of normal people that have normal, regular, everyday lives don't have time to sit and listen to things like this. I'm trying to shine a light on that, hoping that people can start to see the truth. The truth that isn't a conspiracy. The truth that isn't some QAnon right-wing hardcore extremist theory. These are facts that are laid out in the federal government on House committee floors, where people are backed into a corner admitting to these things that keep getting smeared as conspiracy theories. It's not a damn conspiracy theory anymore. I'm just trying to shine a light on the problem, hoping to wake 5 more people up in hopes that those 5 people go wake 5 more people up, and so on. This is a big problem, and I'm worried for the sake of our country. If we lose our First Amendment rights, every other amendment follows. That's the reason our founding fathers put these amendments in place within our U.S. Constitution, to protect us as the people against big government with too much control. There was a saying I seen not long ago. It was on a picture thing at a store. I should have bought it. I'm going to go back and buy it. I'm sure they still have it. But I believe it was a Thomas Jefferson quote where it said something. I'm probably going to butcher this, but he said, "A government that fears the people is a well-ran government. When the people fear the government is tyrannical." That's what we're running into, where people are scared to talk because they're afraid to lose their job. They might be movie stars, actors, musicians, famous people. They're scared to talk against the government because they'll lose their platform, they'll lose their millions of dollars, so they're scared of the government. Normal people that just have normal jobs, they're scared to speak out because if their company finds out that they're against this government power, they might lose their job or get write-ups, and then they're looked at in a bad light. People are starting to fear the government, and it's only going to work if the people bind together and fight back against this stuff. That's all I got for you guys. I hope you got something out of this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button. Comment down below, let me know what you think. If there's something that I'm just not educated on, or I don't understand, something that may be incorrect, please comment down below. Let's have a conversation. An adult conversation. You can try me all you want in the comments. You're not going to see me try and bash you or threaten you or talk down on you, demean you. or anything like that. I'm open to having conversations. And if I'm wrong, I can admit that I'm wrong. So let's do that. Let's do that more with one another. United we stand, divided we fall. So again, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, comment down below, let me know what you think, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you don't miss any content that I might post. I'm Matt with Cali 2A. Catch you guys on the next one.